Well, hello Flosstube, I'm Tanya the Starlit Stitcher. Welcome to my cross stitch channel and thank you so much for joining me on yet another weekly update. Today we're going to be talking about what I did over the last week, what I've done over the course of March, and my plans going into April. First, I have some good news. It's raining, so I got a free car wash. Woohoo! Can't complain about that. But the bad news is, it's raining. More about that later. But we've got quite a bit to talk about, so let's get started and I'll show you my stitching. Okay, so first, I got back to my American deer, and here is the picture of kind of what he'll look like when he's done. And this is where he's at. So this week I put in these two stripes here. Let me see if I can back up and actually get the whole thing. Okay, there we go. But yeah, I did this red stripe here in the, it's supposed to be white, but it's kind of not because it's like shadowed and stuff. But yeah, that's where he's at. So yeah, now this is an 11 count pre-stamped kit that I found off of Amazon. It didn't really have a name, but he's what I work on when I can't see anything else. Yeah. Because we're living in a camper right now, so the lighting is not the greatest. So I'm just kind of slowly working on him because he's easier for me to see. Okay, next up, I worked on Unicorn Poop for Sale. This is a Heaven and Earth design by Sheena Pike, and it's a cute little gnome, and I love it. This is a retired chart, though. I don't know if the artist has it available on other full coverage websites or not, but that is where I had got it from. And here is where it's at. Now, this week I did up in here, this area here on page 3. So like from here that way. That's what got done this week. And so yeah, that's coming along really well. I'm almost done with the whole entire rainbow, and then we can get into the sky. And next up was I finished the middle block on my Nutcracker Village. This is by Cottage Needleworks. It's a stitch along being hosted by the Fat Quarter Shop. And I finished this middle block here because I had not done it until starting a couple weeks ago, and now it's done. So now I'm all caught up with all the blocks, and so going into April I'm ready to do the ice cream parlor, which is this piece here, and it's gonna go there. So this will almost be halfway done after I get that on there. Oh, I've noticed that I sometimes forget to say what fabric that this is, because some people, they either can't find or they don't want to stitch on the opalescent linen that this chart calls for. Mine is an 18 count opalescent raw linen Ada. And I bought it off of 123 Stitch. You can probably find it from other shops as well, but that's what this is and where I got it from. It was just a piece that I had in my stash already, so it is kind of big. As you can see, this is only half of my piece of Ada. So you don't need a piece as big as what I got, but that's what it is. And I'm stitching it with 2 threads, and my back stitching and what's supposed to be French knots are also 2 threads. Because the holes on this fabric, they're really big. Like, I mean, that's kind of really giant holes. So I thought it looked better with 2 threads. That's why I did that. And on the French knots, I'm not very good at doing French knots, so I've been kind of just faking it and putting tiny little stitches where those are supposed to go. See, like you see on the eyeballs there. And then, where'd that rat go? See, the rat on the nose, it's kind of hard to see right there. It kind of blends in. But I just put a little tiny X where his nose was supposed to go. And nobody who's looking at it in my house is ever going to know that it was supposed to actually be French knots, except for me. So, yeah. Okay, so the big one. I worked some more on my long dog samplers. Now, as I said at the beginning, it is raining today, like it's absolutely pouring. But like 5 days this week, I couldn't work that much on here because I didn't have enough light to do it. Because I am putting it on a darker fabric. This is a 28 count Haunted Lugana by Picture This Plus. And so when I don't have light, I can't see well enough to stitch, especially on dark fabrics like this. But all things considering, I think I did pretty good this week. So most of this motif with the squirrel here, that got put in. This here, basically this deer and all around down here in this section, that's what I did on this week. So perspective is kind of everything. Even though I didn't meet my goals for where I wanted to be by the end of March, I think I did pretty good for the time that I had to be able to stitch on this. But there is where it's at. My thread is just DMC, let me double check so I don't say the wrong number again, 3756. It's a very pale ice blue. It's not white. It just looks like white when it goes on here. And then those little butterflies up in there, the back stitch, which I've also been doing with 2 threads, is 647 right up in there. But otherwise everything is the 3756. And that's coming along pretty good. I've been working on this for 4 weeks now, I think. So this is like 30% or maybe pretty close to it. I don't have Pattern Keeper or anything to actually, and I don't actually like count my stitches or anything, so I'm just kind of guesstimating. But this is like almost 30% of the chart, and I've been working on this for 4 weeks in combination with the other projects. So that's not too shabby. I'm pretty happy with that. And then I'm also going to check you in on where I'm at on my Slava Ukraini. This one is a process stitch for me. I have only been putting in 2 or 3 lengths of thread a day that I work on it. And here is where it's at right now. So it's going along. It's just the time that I take every day to just, try and think about other people other than myself, because sometimes I do get kind of down on thinking about how we're still in the camper. I'm not too happy about that, but just having a little bit of perspective, and just, like I said, thinking about somebody other than myself. Okay, so we are going to move into the other stuff that I have to show you today. Okay, so here is my super fancy 2022 stitching plans. This is the list of all the projects that I want to stitch on this year. At the beginning, the only one that I had that was left over from last year was my American Deer. My goal for the year is to finish him, so he's doing really well. My goal for all of the rest of these is to just start and finish as many of them as I can. So at this point in the year, I think it's probably pretty safe to say that I'm not going to get to every project on here, but that's okay. The goal is to just do as much of them as I can, and I think I'm going to be able to do most of them. Now, these are not in any particular order. I don't have any higher priorities than others. I did want to do this one here, One Nation, that's by Bygone Stitches. I wanted to have that stitched and done by July, but I kind of changed my plans because Deborah Carroll Stitcher is going to be starting a hashtag called stitch Teresa Kogut for the rest of the year. That starts on April 1st. And so I decided that where I might have been starting One Nation, I'm now going to be doing Land That I Love instead. Now for the hashtag to participate, all you need to do is just stitch and post pictures of any chart that or project that you're working on that's by Teresa Kogut. So if you're working on something already, that counts. Go ahead and post to the hashtag. Excuse me here. It's another one of them days, people. If you want to start one, which I will, then go ahead and join up. And so, yeah, anything by Teresa Kogut, it goes. So go ahead and do that. That's going to be a lot of fun. And so, yeah, now unicorn poop for sale. That one, because it's a heaven and earth design, my goal for the year on that is about 20%. And it's because I can't stitch that whole thing and do a whole bunch of this. I mean, I'm not like a total miracle worker, you know. I do have some limitations. But I thought that 20% would be a pretty good goal. Again, I don't have Pattern Keeper. I don't count my stitches or anything. So I just did some kind of like rough math. The chart has 64 pages and 15 of them are really small. So basically it comes out to really more like being about 60 pages. So 20% with some rough math would be around about 12 pages or so by the end of the year that I want to have done. And right now I do have a little more than 3 pages of actual stitching done. Here it is again. And so, you know, there's 1, there's most of 2, let's see, almost all of page 2. There's a whole bunch of a 3rd page here, and then when you take the chunk I did over here and put it all together, yeah, I'm definitely a tiny bit ahead of where I should be at this point, since I've had, you know, we're 3 months in now. So that's going really well. Very happy with that. And so also a little bit more about that on Unicorn Poop for Sale. Next month is May, and since we're still in the here in the camper, I don't think I really want to start all of my projects because I don't really know where I'm going to put them if I do that. And then also I'm going to get distracted and probably not end up finishing anything if I do that, because that's just the way that my brain works. Now, don't get me wrong, I love watching everybody that can start all the things and they can, you know, make their goals on all of them. I love it, but that way doesn't work for me, I found out. So what I'm going to do instead to kind of change up my planning for May, I think, is normally where Unicorn Poop for Sale would get 1 day a week that I work on it. What I'm going to do instead is it's going to be my focus project for April, because the idea is, where did that chart go? Okay, so number 1, to do something a little bit different for that month. But then number 2 is I'm almost done with the rainbow up here. So my goal by focusing on this for May is getting across the rest of this. Now, I don't think that you guys want to look at the sky with just the plain sky for the next 6 months, and I kind of don't really want to do that either. So that's going to be, you know, if I focus on this, I can get through that section a lot quicker, and it will be better all around for me and you watching that go forward. And then I can go down, and then you see, you know, me working all in her hat and stuff. So that is my plans for upcoming Mania. But so let's see, any other long-term projects on here? Okay, so the Nutcracker Village, I've done every block that's been released up until now except for the ice cream parlor, and so that is doing well and it's caught up to where it needs to be. And then for the flea market baskets, that's another long-term one that's going. I'm all caught up with that as well. Now the goal / assignment for April is these 3 little baskets here. So that will be super easy. So this is being kept up very well / on time also. So all of my long-term projects are in a really good place. Now, American Deer, I mean, you've seen him. He's pretty well on the way. I don't want to get overly ambitious and say that I might actually finish him this month because, yeah, things have been a little bit weird lately. But once I finish those stripes, because they're a bit more color changing than what the deer himself actually is, then the rest of his body should go pretty quick. So I'm feeling like, you know, I might actually get to cross something off again on this soon. Okay, and so since I was talking about the hashtag Stitch Teresa Kogut being hosted by Deborah Carroll Stitcher on Instagram, I'm going to put that information down below in the description box so that you guys can find that more easier. I'm going to be doing Land That I Love. So I'll show you my fabrics and my threads. My plan for this was I wasn't planning until starting this until the 1st, which I think is Friday, but I'm not very good about knowing my days of the week, much less my days of the month. I mean, somehow I haven't messed up my Wednesday, so I got that going for me, right? But yeah, so whichever day that the 1st was supposed to be, that's what I was planning. But you know what? It's raining and I can't see Pandemic very well again. So you know what? I'm gonna work on this instead because my fabric color is light and I can actually see this. So I'm gonna start this because I want to and because I can. So yeah. Now let me show you my Floss Colors. Now, I am using the called for, so there's lots that's just plain DNC. Sometimes I accidentally say DNC, but it's DMC. And so, yeah. So, yeah, there's some fancy flosses in there. There's Classic Colorworks and Weeks Dye Works. So those guys are in there. And these are the DMC, so that's not very colorful here. Okay, there we go, sort of. But yeah. I'm super excited to start that, and I think that with the rain and how I've been struggling to work on Pandemic these last couple of weeks, I think that downpouring rain, it's just a sign for me to start the Land That I Love early, so that is what I am going to do. What do you guys think about that? I mean, you know, we gotta do some positive where we can, and that will be a positive for me. Let's see, what else? Let me take a look at this. Yeah, I talked about all of my long-term stuff. And so yeah, that's where we're at going into April. I haven't decided yet what my next project is after I finish Pandemic and Land That I Love. I'm gonna see, I'm just kind of winging it as I go. Like, you know, I mean, I have my list, but basically I just kind of, you know, oh, you know, I finished that. Let me start this because I feel like it. So I'm not, like I said, nothing's got a higher priority than anything else. It's just, yeah, going what I feel like doing at the time when I finish something. And yeah. So here's the point of the video where I'm rambling forever. So that means it's probably time for me to let you go, and I will check back in with you next Wednesday and let you know how it went. Hopefully I can work a bit more on Pandemic this week than I was able to last week. Hopefully the sun will come out nice shining bright again after this rain goes over, but I don't know, that could be a few days. So if that doesn't happen, then Land That I Love will happen, and that will be that. Oh, I know what I forgot. I forgot to tell you guys about, I'm still waiting on my last package of Nashville Market pre-orders, but it's almost here. So be on the lookout for an extra video in between now and next week, because that should definitely arrive so I can get that together for you guys so you can take a look at what I got. It's so fun. I mean, I like looking at other people's stuff, so hopefully they like looking at mine. Anyway, listen. Again, it's the weird part of the video, so I gotta let you go now. But take care, guys. Be safe. Be well. And I'll see you next week. Bye.